Okay, the time is 4 p.m. I will call the Plan Commission meeting to order on Tuesday, July 9th, here on the second floor of City Hall and Zoom. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Highfield,
Present.
Commissioner Schull,
Here.
Commissioner Kesnick. Here. Commissioner Schultz,
Here.
Commissioner Huff,
Here.
Manager Houseman,
Here.
Engineer Selly.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, new business. 3A, we have review and possible action relating to the minutes of the regular June 25, 2024 Plan Commission meeting.
Highfield move to approve the regular June 25th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
No
that motion-
opposed. I just had a question. So I got the June 11th minutes when I clicked on my packet.
I see that they say June 11th, but they are indeed the.
Okay. They are the June 25th.
They are the June 25th.
Okay.
Let's see. Michelle, can you confirm that for me? Because I see that 3A under the minutes are on the minutes are from the May 14th Plan Commission meeting, but sometimes we don't have a second one. Did we have a second meeting in May? Yeah, let's just wait on action for this one. Just so we can confirm. We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. So we do have a motion and a second. Do our folks who made those motions and seconds, are you willing to rescind them?
Yes.
Thank you.
I mean, just observation. This does look like the last Plan Commission meeting we had. The Janesville Avenue rezoning.
Yeah, I was not at that meeting, but
Okay.
when I looked at them, I did. The thing I'm confused about is the May 14th Plan Commission
Okay,
meeting.
all right.
So I want to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, because it does say that you're absent and Shannon is absent.
Right. So we'll take another look at them and bring them back on the next Plan Commission meeting. Is that agreeable to everybody?
Yes.
Thank
All
you.
right. All right. My apologies for that. Okay, let's move on to item 3B, which is review and possible recommendation to the City Council on a public monument review, World War II Memorial at McCoy Park. Let's see, we have our Parks and Recreation Director, Ben Dayton, here with us today to present this.
Okay, thank you. I do have a few other pieces that couldn't necessarily be included in the pack because they're physical examples of the monument and what the materials are. But so just to start this off, we were approached by a donor to install a new World War II monument located in McCoy Park. The same donor had worked with us previously on a few other projects in that same park and is very familiar with us, and we're familiar with the work that the donor has done in the past. Throughout this process, we've worked closely together to find a location that would be dry, B would involve the least amount of work as far as like leveling and grading. And so we landed on that red circle that you can see up at the top left-hand corner. The location is just off of the Veterans Memorial, the one with all the flags, just for perspective. And then you can also see that magenta colored circle, that would be the War Dog Memorial. So part of this whole thing is we've looked at using similar materials as the other monuments so that there's continuity between all of them, with the exception of the Doughboy, which is on the far end. But all the monuments in that same area have similar colored stone. This one is made out of stainless steel. That ring over there is stainless steel, and that would be the entire globe. And then there is also the continents would be made out of a textured stainless steel. So it would have some ebbs and flows similar to like, topography of a map. And the base would be a darker granite style stone. We wouldn't be able to get the same one that we've gotten for the War Dog Memorial, just because there are a lot of, it was a very unique stone, but we got one that's pretty comparable to it. As far as the dimensions of the entire monument, it would be 8.5 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and then the globe itself would be about 4 feet. And then the concrete pad would be about 25 feet. This would be similar sizes. So for comparison, the obelisk that you see at the center of the Veterans Memorial, that would be around the same height. And then also the circle around the War Dog Memorial, that would be the same amount or same dimensions for the concrete pad. So that's just some perspective. As part of this too, so there will be, in addition, 2 other benches. Those are the ones, the yellow boxes up there. These include the names of some Medal of Honor winners, and those were also recommended to us from the veterans over at the American Legion. So we did kind of reach out and make sure that we got some more perspective on what to put on there. In addition, there is a quote, which is very cool. And it also kind of represents that this was not just, this was a larger effort by the entire population. So I thought that was a cool addition to this as well. As far as the other monuments in the same area, we do have a few that are one Civil War, one that would be the Doughboy, and then that large white monument that's kind of like a rectangle. Those are World War I monuments. The War Dog is specific to that, and then also the Veterans Memorial is representing all the different branches of the armed forces. So this would be a World War II monument, which we don't currently have one. So that's where it kind of all comes together. As far as maintenance is concerned, the material used is stainless steel, very heavy duty, easy to clean up when it comes to if there would be any sort of spray paint on it. The stone and the stainless steel, very heavy duty. So, anything could happen, but it's pretty well secured. It's in a well-lit area. In addition to lighting, we'll have up lighting coming from the base, similar to what we have at the other monuments in that same park, as you can see there. And then also that darker stone, you can see that as well. It would be polished all the way around, almost identical to what is on the War Dog Memorial. And then lastly, the concrete, as you can see there as well, we'll have a stamped concrete colored similar to the one that's on the lower side, that tannish color. Again, trying to match it as much as we can, but this would be newer, so it would have a different color to it. So ultimately, staff would recommend that the Planning Commission review the application and recommend that the City Council approve this request for public monument building review, along with the installation of the World War II Memorial at McCoy Park. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them.
Just an observation, I guess. When was the War Dog Memorial put in? When was that installed? Do you know?
2017. Yeah.
And the reason I say that is just the examples that we have of the concrete and the light fixture there. I mean, there's some cracking, right? I mean, so there's things that happen with these types of monuments that there are lots of maintenance costs relating to these. So will you maybe talk a little bit about how the funding of this project and the future funding for those types of maintenance
Absolutely.
items?
So funding is all, will all come from that one donor and through the foundation. There will be an additional money beyond the cost of this project itself that will help fund future maintenance costs that will come with this. Relatively speaking, like daily maintenance, there's just more or less mowing, some weed whipping, but there's not really much beyond that. The larger maintenance would come from, like you show there, the cracking that might have to get filled at some point. Those light bulbs don't last forever, but eventually they do fail, so that would have to get replaced. But that will be funded through this, the fund within the foundation.
Thank you. Questions from the Plan Commission for Mr. Dayton?
Ben, just so I'm understanding the drawing and the description, the globe is three-dimensional, but the rest of the sculpture is two-dimensional. Is that correct? So the
Yep.
person standing and the structure that supports the globe is
So there is no
half
person.
inch thick. There is no person standing.
Yeah.
That's a scale.
Yes, correct. Yes.
Got it.
So yeah, the globe is here. If you don't mind, I'll grab.
Nice.
So the globe is three-dimensional, and then that stainless steel sheeting will be that large curve around the top. That will be flat, but then at the base we'll have that same material, and then there will be 4 supports along the base as well. The textured piece, that smaller piece, that's like an example of what the continents will look like. But the globe itself will all be brushed stainless steel, and I also have a very heavy example of that as well. So this is how I guess the rings around the globe will look. They are, again, that thick stainless steel, very heavy duty. They'll still have that brushed look to them as well. So that'll maintain all the way across both the vertical and the horizontal rings.
And so while the model is
Solid.
solid,
Mhm.
the actual statue is not
Framework.
solid. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions from Plan Commissioners? Any other comments or anything? Well, first, I guess we'll finish up with Mr. Dayton. Any final questions for Mr. Dayton about this project? Okay. I would entertain a motion to recommend this to the city council. Then we can have, then the plan commission can resume discussion amongst the plan commission on that matter. That
So
would be-
moved.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Second,
Thank you. And we have a second. Okay, now discussion amongst the plan commission relating to this item.
Seems like a really nice project.
Yeah.
Thank you, Engineer Sully. Yes, this is in McCoy Park. McCoy Park has kind of become our service memorial type park. I think that efforts have been made to make sure the scale of this monument is similar in nature to the scale and size of other monuments already in the park. I think that the donor is extremely generous in their willingness to make this donation and create this monument for the future to recognize World War II. I think it's also wonderful that there is going to be money in the foundation for the longer term maintenance. I think that's one of the reasons we wanted to start this public monument review process, is to make sure that there is some long-term care of these items. So I'm very happy to see that that has been accounted for as well. Obviously, this serves a public purpose in that it is a recognition and memorial of the folks who served and lost their lives in World War II. Okay, and we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion by the Plan Commission on this matter?
As a veteran, I appreciate this very much. I would just hope maybe in the future we start looking at more current wars and some monuments to them as well. So I hope we have enough room for something like that in the near future.
Thank you for that. And thank you for your service.
And I would just like to say I appreciate having the physical examples and samples to look at. Well thought out.
Great. Okay, all those in favor of the recommendation, the positive recommendation for this project moving forward to the city council, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Moving on to 3C, we have review and possible recommendation to the city council on public monument review batting cage project at Jones Park. Let's see, it says Mr. Dayton on the agenda, but I see we have our Parks and Recreation Supervisor, JJ Yankee, here as well. So hopefully we can hear from both of them. Wonderful.
All right, thank you again. So JJ is spearheading this project, and he's done a lot of the work on this so far. So I'm gonna pass this over to him to fill you in on the rest.
Thank you. So first off, the staff of the Parks Department has been working with the generals on a proposed new batting cage for Jones Park. At the time, there's no permanent batting cage at Jones Park. The high school puts up a temporary batting cage every season, uses it through the season, then removes it at the end of the season. The temporary batting cage is not ideal, and it's not very aesthetically pleasing to the eye at times because the loses tension, and then they got to reset it up every once in a while. We reached out to multiple groups, like there's 4 user groups that use Jones Park right now for baseball. And when we talked to the 4 user groups, it was unanimous in their support to put a batting cage at Jones Park. We chose Jones Park location, the horseshoe pit. We used to utilize the horseshoe pit. Now we normally don't use a horseshoe pit. We go to like Baseball Fest, they do like bags tournament. So right now the park staff is maintaining and upkeeping the horseshoe pit. So we thought at the functionality and to put the batting cage in that location, it would eliminate us maintenance wise, and then utilize the area for something that the whole community could use. And it's already kind of set up for the size of the batting cage we need. It's already got some lighting already set over there. We just have to swap out some fixtures and stuff like that. The generals and the park staff have been I plan on conducting several fundraisers to fundraise for this, and then eventually apply for some grants and stuff to help fundraise.
Okay, this is one of my favorite things because we're taking out something that we're not currently using and we're replacing it with something that will use more. So that part I absolutely appreciate about this. Can you, you mentioned the public use. Is this going to be set up in a way that, you know, somebody who's down at Jones Park on a, you know, Tuesday night when there's no game or there's nobody using the field? I know we don't generally like people going out and using the field when, you know, just random residents using that Jones Park field because it is kept in pretty pristine condition for the games that are played on it. Would just regular people be able to use these batting cages?
Correct. So like right now, we have batting cages at Memorial Park, and all through the summer, they're full and hard to get into. So we thought this was another opportunity. And then also along the first base side at Jones Park, we have a clamshell batting cage. We have a temporary batting cage. So, I mean, aesthetically pleasing to the eye, it's getting filled up over there. So this was thought of. I talked to the generals, I talked to the high school, we talked to Fort Youth Baseball, we talked to JBB, we talked to teeners, and kind of get input from them to see what size cage they wanted. Like, so we decided to go with a double wide batting cage with soft toss on both sides so they can do tee work in that instead of we can eliminate some of the stuff along the first baseline, and on top of it, then we don't have to worry about them hitting into fences at our ballparks anymore either.
I was going to mention that. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Just for people who aren't engaged in park maintenance on a regular basis, what that does to fences.
So a lot of the groups like to set up tees and hit into something just for like batting practices instead of having someone pitch to them. And at a lot of our parks, they like to set up and hit into the fence. And over time, it bows the fence out and ruins the fence. And then obviously being in the parks, we have to replace the fences. So.
Thank you for that. Also, is this, what do you do in the winter? Tell me a little bit about that.
So as like at Memorial Park, the batting cage would go up early spring, the net wise cables, and then in the fall, we take everything down like we do over there. We store it and then we re-put it back up. We do that just to prolong the life of the net. So there's a 5-year warranty with this specific net that we're looking at purchasing. It ain't on the bottom end, it ain't on the top end, but it's in the middle. And it's more beneficial for our environment and our location compared to like a nylon net, which is normally used indoors because it doesn't like the sun and the rain and stuff like that. So the park staff would be putting this up, taking it down. Another, I guess, addition to this, normally like our batting cages at a Memorial Park right now have more posts. This will have a 6 post. It's 3 on one side, 3 on the other side. So there's no ricocheting, no obstructions for the people when they're hitting. There's 2 feet between each net and that. So that was another reason why we decided to go with not the top of the road, but not the bottom either with the batting cage.
Okay. Thank you. Questions for Mr. Yankee from the Plan Commission?
Seems like a great project, JJ.
I have a couple questions, JJ. You said various fundraisers were going to be funding the project and looking at some grants. Can you describe maybe what types of grants you would be going for and how long you expect the fundraising process to take?
So we swung big at the first one. And so right now we're running a raffle to see if we can raise enough money to at least get half of it.
Okay.
So then from there, we're gonna reach out to, I already have a couple other donors willing to donate money to it. But I want to get the raffle part out of the way first before we start tackling donations from people. And then I guess between Ben and myself, we would be writing some grants towards and reaching out to some other community foundation and stuff like that to
Okay.
see
Okay.
if we could get some matching on it.
Because more than likely, the cost of these quoted items is going to go up, before you
Correct.
raise the money for it.
Right. I mean, we had big dreams when we started it, so like, if it was up to me, I would have liked to put it in this fall. Like, I mean, it's something that I think the community needs, just for the simple fact of like, there's not enough of it around here right now. So, and we used to play baseball from May to August. Now we're playing baseball from March to October. So.
I think it seems like a really good project. I feel like we're sort of approving the concept and fundraising at this point, rather than, the physical purchases, but I think it seems like a good, worthwhile project.
Thank you for bringing up timeline, Commissioner Kesnick. Oh my gosh, I think I lost it. I had one more question about, user groups. Are the user groups going to be assisting with fundraising? Are they going to be donating? Are they going to be, how are those? I think you named a half a dozen or so user groups. Are they contributing to this project?
So right now we have Fort Youth Baseball, JBB are helping fundraise right now. The high school is willing to donate the turf for the batting cage, which is about $5,000 worth of turf. So, and then the generals are also helping with the fundraising aspect of it too right now.
Okay.
I have a couple questions. First off, I love this thought process. I love the whole concept. How will people be able to sign up? Will they have to sign up to use it? I can see this being a hot commodity. Do we have any plans on ways to be able to access it around like the general schedule and things like that?
So at the moment, like at Memorial Park, we do not have a sign up or nothing. It's first come, first serve type of thing at that location. I mean, I think that this shouldn't just benefit the generals, Fort Youth Baseball, JBB, Teeners. I think it should, the whole community. Like if your son wants to come and play and it's open, he should be able to come and play. Type of thing.
Or daughters.
Our daughters,
Or daughters?
our aunts, grandmas, whoever. Sorry.
No, that's,
I appreciate that. I just, that's my main concern is, once we start having this and we have the current one, people are gonna wanna use it. And I just would like to maybe see a process that, I first come, first serve is great, but there's gonna be some people that will never get a chance. And, I'd like to maybe see if we could do some kind of maybe reservation system here or there, to give as many people an opportunity as possible. But I'm all in favor of this. It's a great idea.
yeah, I think we can probably adjust as things happen, right? So if we get this up, let's say it's up in 2025 and there's a line out the door, then we'll come up with some sort of a reservation process or some sort. We're very accustomed to those with all of our shelters and other things that we have. So we have lots of processes in place that we could repeat for this.
Can I ask, is the city going to be the fiduciary paying for this up front with reimbursement? I think we mentioned this, but I think just so the commission understands.
Ben?
Yeah.
How was that handled?
I believe that's how I would anticipate it is happening. We could get reimbursement through, again, it's, would be coming through the generals and then also through the foundation. And then, given the cost, as long as we can make that happen, that would be the approach.
And we've done that with other projects that it's been funded through the general fund with knowing that donations would offset that cost. So just clarifying future setup for accounts.
I would also note that it's not likely it would start until the fundraising is very close to being complete. Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. And I would entertain a motion to move this with a positive recommendation to the city council, and then the plan commission can discuss further if necessary.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Questions, comments, concerns from the plan commission on this item? I will just mention that this is, I think this is a nice project. Our park staff is working with all of our user groups, which is a great thing. And they've identified something that is underutilized in that park and repurposing it without taxpayer dollars, which again, so many good parts to this that I appreciate. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, we do have a motion and second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. The city council will take a look at both of those items at the next city council meeting, which is a week from today. Item 3D, review and possible recommendation to the city council relating to a 3-lot certified survey map for the unaddressed property located on the 1400 block of Lakeview Drive. This is CSM 2024-02. And we have our building inspector and zoning administrator, Jed Drager, here today with us.
Hello, this one is pretty straightforward, but I'd like to go over a few points on this. Our current zoning ordinance was put into place to allow for this type of infill zoning or this infill development. So this is taking 2 existing SR5 residential lots, and it's allowing for the owner to split it into 3 separate lots. These 3 lots meet the requirements for the SR5 zoning, so no zoning amendment is needed for these lots. So they will remain that SR5, which is very similar to what is around that area. There are some multifamily units to the north and to the south, but in this general proximity there, it's mostly this SR5 zoning and single family, so it's appropriate for the area. This is to the east of the cemetery. And it's actually butts the rear of these lots, but right up to it. I think that's pretty much all there is to it. These would be buildable lots. So this allows for 1 additional building space, and I do believe the owner is planning to build on these starting this year already. So it would be an influx of new residential homes. Not as many as we need, but anything additional is helpful.
Questions for Mr. Drager on this?
I have a couple questions. Is this similar to what happened on Mesmer with the 3 new homes?
Yes, this would be similar. That was taking 1 larger lot and split it into 3 SR7 lots. This is taking 2 existing SR5 lots and creating 1 additional lot, but it is similar in creating additional space, yeah, for new houses.
And these 3 lots with the SR5 zoning are slightly larger than those SR7.
Correct.
lots.
Yep, a little less density here.
Okay.
So larger setbacks are required for these.
Okay. I think this is a great project, and I'm very pleased that our staff was working with the property owner to suggest that they break this into 3 lots instead of just trying to get building permits on the 2 lots. As Mr. Drager said, it is only 3 potential new houses, but that is sorely needed here in the city with our we are in the hole, as they say, with housing units. So I appreciate that very much. Any final questions for Mr. Drager? Okay, I would entertain a motion to recommend that the city council approve this 3-lot certified survey map for the property located on the 1400 block of Lakeview Drive.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion by the Plan Commission on this matter?
Do we have an estimation, I'm sorry if I missed it, of possible building on this site?
I do not have a current building permit application, but was speaking with the owner of the property. He is also the builder, so his plans are to get started on these right away. Yeah. I don't have confirmation on that as to exactly the date, but from what I understand, that's what I was told.
All right, good to hear though. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I will just note that this is a, privately owned property with a private builder, I guess. And I just want to make the point that this won't, because it is a permitted use on each of these single family lots, the elevations for the buildings, the building permit applications themselves, the floor plan, things of that nature will not come back to this body for review. It will just be a staff review through the building permit process.
All right, understood. Yeah, I think we could definitely use any additional housing within the city. So I'm happy to support this.
Great. We have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. And again, that will be on the next city council meeting for final action. Item 3D is review and possible action on a site plan review for DG Market to be located on the property along the 1400 block of Janesville Avenue. Parcel number 22605140931-012, site plan review 2024 -03. Mr. Drager, please.
All right, so this one is not as straightforward and a little bit more detail here. But it is, I think, another exciting possibility for our community, which is nice. This is an outlot in front of the existing CubeSmart, used to be the Shopco. It's a 1-acre parcel. The proposed building on here would be 12,480 square feet, retail building, which plans to utilize the existing approach from Janesville Avenue. So there will be no new entrance coming into the property from there. This would come off of the existing one. Some new stuff here along with that new structure is paved parking, of course, paved loading, extra landscaping, bicycle and pedestrian access will be added here. As we all know, this is a very large paved area that's underutilized. And so this is a nice, another infill development. This was encouraged by the city when CubeSmart developed this area. So this was I think a nice added feature to this area that was basically not used. And given the new use with CubeSmart, that parking lot's hardly used at all. So this is a nice change. One thing I should note, there's also going to be added sidewalk to the front of the lot there along Janesville Avenue. The landscaping will also be retaining the existing trees along there, along with the added landscaping that's required for this type of development. Once again, going through all that, staff looks at all the various aspects of a site plan review, going through different things, dimensional standards, setbacks, building coverage, access and visibility. Those are all being met. One of the access things that were brought up during review would be the approach into this parking area for the building is 30 feet wide. Our maximum set there is 24 feet. However, that ordinance calls out public access, and this is more of a private access. So we asked for 24 feet, but it's kind of a gray area on this one. So I just wanted to make sure we're aware of that. Parking and loading, this is a number of spaces, delivery and pickup areas. They're properly screened for trash enclosures that comes underneath that area. Those areas are all being met. Actually, the trash enclosure itself will match the building construction. So it'll also have a brick pillar and fencing along those lines, not just wood fence there, since that was something staff worked with the the developer on to ensure that we weren't just getting a wood fence there in between the building and the main access to this area. So that was important, we thought. Another thing we look at is the exterior lighting standards, outdoor storage, screening I already mentioned. There is a fence on the north side of the property that screens the building in itself from what would be the cemetery. Maybe not that important, but it is part of our ordinance and a requirement for screening to the next parcel. So that is something that is being met as well. I mentioned landscaping. This is removing all this paved area out here and adding green space, and also allowing for stormwater management and things like that on the property. Right now, we're looking at the exterior building design. This is something we went back and forth with the developer on the requirement for 50% of class 1 materials. In that class 1 material list is brick and stone that can either be full size or veneers, and also the glass for storefronts and things like that. Those all fall into that class 1, along with facade articulation and sections of wall that are over 75 feet need to have a change in material, colors and things like that to break up the walls. So that's something we went back and forth with on material choices and things like that. But I think we ultimately came to something that meets our ordinances and our requirements for this type of development. I think we ended up with a pretty decent building, given the what we're for retail anyways. One thing I do want to bring up on some of the things we came up with our review was some of the stormwater management things. There's some minor stuff that needs to be addressed in there. One would be a stormwater management plan and agreement that needs to be taken care of. This is something that normally comes after approvals or typically does, so it's nothing alarming there. And then some inlet protection and dewatering details were also brought up during review. But overall, I think we ended up with a pretty decent looking project. This does fit in with the future land use planning map as far as planned mixed use. So this is currently zoned urban mixed use, which fits for this type of development as well. And so I think it overall is fitting with our city's comprehensive plan and future uses. And with that, I would bring up that the city recommends approval of this. Let me find the sheet. There's a few contingencies on there. Sorry, I thought I had that sheet right in front of me, but I do not.
I have it in front of me.
All right, would you?
Sure. So staff does recommend approval of the site plan, subject to the following conditions. Waiving the requirement for the maximum driveway size because the zoning ordinance only requires the 24-foot maximum at the access point to the right of way. And the proposed development does not take access directly from the right of way, which I do have a question about, but we'll get to that. So that's the first one. Second one, accept the landscaping plan as shown with the required total number of points being met for yards using plantings within the stormwater management area. Number 3, require the applicant to provide signage plans if desired that meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance subject to approval by the Plan Commission. Number 4, require submittal of a new sidewalk layout, water and sanitary layout and details, as well as a copy of recorded stormwater maintenance agreement as noted above. And then 5, any other recommendations from city staff and the Plan Commission.
Thank you.
So I've got a couple questions. The 24-foot access point, you mentioned that's from the right of way.
Mhm.
I just want to point out, I guess, on the site plan that one of the reasons they wanted that slightly larger access point is because of, truck deliveries, turning radii, those types of things. You can see where the truck will be delivering is on the south side there of the building. And in order to make that, the motion is a little difficult for truck traffic with just a 24-foot wide.
Correct. That was the
access point.
reasoning that I was given. Yes.
Yeah. I also just want to, and maybe Andy, you can help point out where that dumpster enclosure is located on the site plan. Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. That's what I thought, but I didn't quite see it. And that will match the facade of the building.
Yes. Yeah. That was something else staff worked with the developer on. We're we're trying to find a way to get that trash enclosure somewhere a little less visible. They cited some site elevations that prohibited that. They have a retaining wall behind on the east side of the building due to the slope of the parking lot itself. That was making it difficult for them to design the layout of the site plan to get the building to allow for that and still be able to get a truck in there and be able to turn around safely. So that was their ended result for the best spot. So we worked with them to get that trash enclosure to blend in with the building rather than to stand out.
Jed, do you want to talk a little bit about the efforts of staff to look at different orientations of the building on the lot as well?
Yes, that is something we spent a fair amount of time with. We were hoping to get the building and the parking and things like that in the rear of the structure itself, just for visibility along Janesville Avenue to make it a little bit more appealing. They looked at a couple different ways. We offered some suggestions. They kept coming back to that elevation change on the lot itself, not allowing for that truck traffic. We were hoping that they'd be able to get some access off the existing parking areas to the east there. Once again, like I said, with that retaining wall, in order to get that more level site, they were unable to accommodate that request. So that's where we came up with the trash enclosure, increasing that visibility there, or attractiveness of that, I should say. So yeah, staff did work with the developer and quite a bit trying to get that to change, but it just didn't quite work out as far as the lot size itself and the elevations.
And can you tell me, is there an easement on that central driveway already that provides, is there an access easement? Andy?
I believe there was in
Yeah.
the DSM that was recorded defining these two lots. I believe there's cross-access agreement.
Correct. Yep. When that CubeSmart development took place, that was added in there with those two parcels to the north and the south.
Great. Thank you for that. Question about signage. One of the conditions of approval is that they bring signage back. There is a wall sign on one of the building facades. That would be part of a sign package that would come back to the Plan Commission?
Yes. So typically in these types of developments, they have a different contractor or developer that's doing the building site itself. And then the store owner or the company itself has their own sign company that comes forward with their signage. And they must bring that back through us to get approval from Plan Commission for the exterior signage. Yes.
So it is on the building facade, but the Plan Commission, any sort of approval with conditions today would not signify approval of the sign that is shown on the facade. I just want to make sure that that point is clear.
Fair point. Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Drager on this item?
Ed, was there any discussion with the applicant about these, the 1/2-inch diameter steel eye bolts that are located out here on the front of this building?
No, I cannot say that there was. I believe that's more of a structural thing, is what I took that as. The structure of the building itself. The first thing would come to mind would be maybe some type of signage there, but that would also be required to come through any type of Plan Commission. So I took those as part of a requirement for the building structure itself. There are lights planned in some of those areas too.
If I may, I'm with Dennis Meekoff with the Man Construction Company.
Wonderful.
And those 1/2-inch diameter bolts, those are actually pretty minimal. It's a more or less if they're going to do any seasonal banners that they will hang on there. So they project maybe 2 inches from the building. They're really not visible, but it's just for seasonal banners.
Okay. Do you mind introducing yourself again, your name and your title for the record, please?
Sure. Dennis Meekoff, Meekhof. I'm with Man Construction Incorporated.
Great,
And I
thank you.
am Assistant Director of Construction for the company.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may, I don't know if you guys can see me. This is Jason Curris on behalf of the development company. Prior to, I guess, having further discussion, I wanted to make sure that there was some clarification on this project. So first and foremost, we're very excited to be a part of the city. We appreciate getting on the agenda tonight. I sat and heard the wonderful projects that you folks have planned and have going. The one thing I did pick up on is that you understand construction costs. Today, construction costs a year ago, construction costs a year from now, when this project will actually be turned over and functional to the community. With that being said, we had some other folks in our office handle the discussion with the city and Dennis from Man Construction, but there was some concerns and some recent things that came up that I wanted to put on the record, and I guess make sure that everybody on the commission could digest. We could talk about if need be. And you mentioned a few things that we were willing to do on the site. One was the retention wall due to the height. And the only reason I bring this up is these projects in today's environment are extremely difficult. We think it's a fabulous project to bring a nice grocer to the community. That's what DG Marketplace is. We've done these across the country for them. And so it's food-based, not so much dollar store based. It actually sells a full line of food. They're brands of meats and chickens and fish and all sorts of wonderful things. I don't know if any of you have been in any of these stores or seen them. They're starting to pop up in these communities. But the one thing that we have gone back to the drawing board multiple times, and I do want to find out if there is an ability to have some consideration on this, is the requirement for the Class 1 materials and to match the dumpster corral, again, based upon the fact that it can't be behind the building because of the retention wall that we're putting in with the elevation changes. But the Class 1, I guess, difference in materials potentially, and that is why I don't like saying this unless I'm 100% sure, and we're pretty much 100% sure. Just as the building design needs to sit a certain way, and we appreciate you allowing that, that is for the business, the tenant, the way that the construction has to be for the company to approve it. The issue that we have on the requirement for the Class 1 materials is that it makes the project cost prohibitive to move forward. And I hate to bring that up in a planning commission meeting, and I was waiting to the very end because we were hopeful that we could get I guess, a better budget for this requirement. But in working together and agreeing to it and calling our manufacturers and calling our suppliers and calling everything, we just cannot get the financial costs down that would make the project feasible to move forward. And so we're asking if there is some consideration or suggestion, or if we do have to go in front of the zoning board of appeals, because it is an ordinance, that the city would allow us to do that so that we can move forward. These projects, as I'm sure you are all aware, and all these developments have slowed, whether it's residential or commercial, because of not only the factors of the cost of funds, which everybody knows about. If you rent, own, or live in the United States, you know that the interest on everything has ballooned. But in addition to that, so is the construction cost. And I never like to bring costs up for projects because we budget and factor that in. But as we have added certain things, both required and not required by the city, but ultimately would make the property function and look much better, the sidewalks, the retention wall, the curb and gutter for the parking lot, it is throwing the project off. And the materials for the Class 1 is kind of like the dagger in the heart. So what I would ask and I guess request is there a way that we can request a possible variance on this so that we can make this project feasible at this time? And I apologize. I never like to bring things up in the public hearings unless they're positive things, but we have worked the last 2 or 3 weeks to crunch these numbers and work with our suppliers based upon pushback we received from the planning department in order to make sure that we meet every and anything that you guys are requiring. But this is something that we can't get past. So I apologize to bring it up at the very end, but we are hoping that there can be some acceptance and relief and ability to get relief as it relates to the Class 1 materials on 4 sides of the building.
I'm sorry. So a couple items, a couple points of clarification. This is not actually a public hearing. I appreciate your input. Are you saying right now that the Class 1 materials on the building or the Class 1 materials on the dumpster enclosure is the issue?
Well, both, because they're tied together. The requirement was whatever the building design material would be is what you would prefer to have the dumpster match. Our standard is the treated wood fence, which looks very, very nice. We have it on many of our buildings. And then our typical materials, which is the standard metal siding, which matches the colors of Dollar General Market. With the requirement of the Class 1 materials, it changes it.
Thank you for your input. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Drager on this item? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Drager. Let's see here. We have a recommendation from city staff to approve this site plan review for this project with those 5 conditions that I read off at the beginning of this agenda item. Does anybody on the Plan Commission want me to remind anybody of those 5 items? They are in the staff report, and I did read them off. Okay, so we know what the motion would be. I would entertain that motion so that we can discuss amongst the Plan Commission.
I'd move to approve the site plan as proposed by DG Market with the 5 conditions outlined in the report as a requirement.
Thank you.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay. 3 seconds there. Great. Clerk Ebert, I assume you can. Yep, thank you. So we have a motion and a second on the floor, so we can open this to discussion amongst the Plan Commission. I will just say that the Class 1 materials is a requirement of our zoning ordinance, and I am not interested in reducing that requirement to allow a building with entirely metal siding to be in the Janesville Avenue corridor, which is one of the entry points to the city of Fort Atkinson.
Yeah, I would echo that and beyond. I mean, the Planning Commission has seen a number of requests come through. We've seen St. Paul's, which is moving forward with construction on a facility there in addition to their school where they met the Class 1 requirements. We've had opportunities here just a couple of weeks ago with a substantially large square foot addition to their facility that met the Class 1 materials. So we've had a consistent record of folks coming through and finding ways to make these projects work. Both of those are in much less visible corridors than the Janesville Avenue corridor, as Manager Hausman mentioned. I frankly was going to ask Jason and Dennis about the lack of windows on this building. It certainly does meet our requirements in the zoning code, but I was curious of a little more natural light, perhaps getting into this building on the front side of things. So a little surprised at the Class 1 discussion here.
Any other input from Plan Commission members? Okay. Any last input from anybody? Okay. Hearing none, we do have a motion and a second on the floor to approve this project subject to the conditions outlined in the staff report, which is on page 58, excuse me, of the Plan Commission packet. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Item number 4 is adjournment.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 5 p.m. Thank you, everybody.